Hello, Facelandia. How you doing? Just gonna wait a second and make sure everything's all right technically here. Make sure the sound's working and video's working all right. All right, looks like everything's a go, so let's get started. So, welcome to our day 17, and we are doing Black Panther today. Fun, fun, fun. So Black Panther is a lot of fun. It's the sensual, instinctive aspect of ourselves. It's involved in a lot of, it's about recoil and rebound, and it's about using your tendons and ligaments, the natural spring fibers of your body to help you move like really easily and powerfully. So let's get into it. Let's do our breathing, and we'll get into a little bit of a warm-up, maybe do a bit of boa bow, and then get into Panther, do some cool movements, and talk about the connective fascial system, the system of connective tissue that is really important and critical for the Black Panther. All right, so let's get into it. So standing with your feet shoulder width apart, and we're going to do the basic breathing again today. You can send me a private message if you're enjoying the practice with the basic breathing. If you're, sometimes people find it like simple enough that it's time to move on, so you can just, if you want to stop doing it during the challenge, send me a message, and I'll just we'll skip over it and go and do other stuff in our warm-up. So let me know what your preferences are. Okay, so breathing in deep, and retention breath, drawing in earth and water through the feet, fire and air through the hands, breathing in, lower back, middle back, upper back, lower abdomen, middle abdomen, upper abdomen, torso, and hold the breath, purify that energy, and exhale. Breathing in deep. One more time. And cleansing breath, 7 forced short out breaths. Cleansing breath, tapping, inhaling, tapping the fingertips, hold the breath, cup the palms, exhale. And stand and breathe. We'll do the prana shake in a moment. But take a moment, feel what you feel like. Excellent. Good. You may have noticed on the last out breath that I have done here, it may have sounded a little bit like tiger. And sometimes it's fun to just intersperse or mix things up a little bit. So while you do exhale from the top down, you can also reverse it and exhale from the bottom up. Variations are good, and you can feel free to explore. Okay, so let's do the prana shake. And drawing in the elements. Close the circuits. Pack it into your spinal column and shake. And take a moment, feel what your body feels like. Check in with yourself. I'm just going to check the roster here. Hello, Carolyn. Nice to see you. Dorothy, welcome. And Patricia, Pamela, sorry. Sorry, I need my reading glasses. Hello, Pamela. Thanks for being here. Excellent. Oh, there's more. Lindsay. No problem, no problem. Check in later, off to work. Whenever you can. Just so you guys are clear, and you know this, with the, and I'm sure you know by now, with these live streams on Facebook, they get saved, the videos get saved, and then they're archived essentially. You know, so you can come back anytime, you're a member of this group, you can come back anytime to this page and check any of the videos in any sequence you want. Alper, oh my goodness, hello, blast from the past. Hello, Paula. Great. Glad everybody's here. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Joy. Hello, everybody. Okay. Whoops. I pushed a button I shouldn't have. Okay. I'm going to get off the screen now. Okay. So let's do Panther. Let's do Boa first, and we'll get into Panther. All right. And take a moment. Feel your body. Feel the touch base with your empathy, your sense of empathy. Touch base with the calm vastness of the unconscious. Feel the cycle of your breath and that continuity between one in-breath, the pause between the inhale and the exhale. When the exhale ends, feel the gap between one exhale and the start of the next breathing cycle of the inhale. And follow that cycle, that continuous cycle. All right? So feeling the breath and the breath moving through your skin. Feel the lymphatic system. And bring the breath in and exhale. Let it go. Relax, release. softening. Good. And standing. Feel your body. Feel the skin as though you're a big bag of air being filled up. Good. And stand, feet together, feel your body. And just feel how you feel now compared to when you first started. Good. Okay, so let's do a little bit of Panther. And we're going to do some exercises in Black Panther. They are called Black Panther tendon and ligament exercises. And so let's focus on those. And let's start off. So we start off with the bow? Yeah, let's do the bow first. So, yeah, let's start off with the bow, and then we'll do the exercises. And so, when doing the Panther bow, you start off with your feet together, and you're focusing on your tendons and your ligaments. And we're going to do a move, but before we do the move, let's focus on the tendons and ligaments as though you're breathing through the tendons and ligaments as though they were straws, okay? So just take a moment and scan your body from the soles of your feet, up your legs, up your torso, your head, down the length of the arms, and feel the tendons and ligaments throughout your body. The tendons connect your muscle to bone, your ligaments connect bone to bone. But they're all like really strong, rubbery cords, and they sort of act as slings, as like elastic, like climbing ropes. So there's a bit of give, and then they want to pull you back, and together they sort of act like almost like hammocks, like slings. Like you put the weight of the muscle in the sling, and then the muscle does whatever it does, but it always stays within the hammock. And that provides like a natural rebound for the body. So feel your body, scan from the soles of your feet, up your legs, your pelvis, your torso, your shoulder girdle, your arms, your head, and feel like all of those tendons and ligaments are like little mini straws, and you're breathing into them. And because it's Panther, it's closely connected to the earth, and you're drawing in energy through those straws from the earth. Well, let's just stand and breathe in, drawing the energy in through the tendons and ligaments. And then as you exhale, exhale the energy out from the tendons and ligaments. And energy in. And exhaling, send the energy out through the tendons and ligaments. Okay? We're going to keep doing that a few more times, but as you do this, as you're breathing in energy through the tendons and ligaments, feel like the breath is, first of all, very sensuous. It's a lovely, pleasurable experience. Like somebody's taken molasses, warmed up molasses or maple syrup, and they poured it at the top of your head, and it's just like pouring down every little nook and cranny. And then they slip you into like a body glove made of silk, satin, and leather. So it should feel really good. And emphasize that sensation wherever you're breathing. Emphasize that pleasurable sensation in that area of the body that you're breathing into. Okay? So let's try it again, a little bit more. And breathing in deep. Deep. So right now it's like I'm visualizing like I'm sliding and slipping deeper into like a mud patty, like a mud trough or something, and the mud is like warm and just like climbing up my body, and it feels really nice. And then as I exhale, I'm following that luxuriant sense down my body. One more time. So what you're doing is you're savoring. You're savoring the breath, you're savoring the motion with the breath. Good. And relax. As you're doing the breathing, there's a couple of things I want to say. So the physicality of breathing in and savoring the breathing and the motion, it should feel like as you do it, that it's causing your body to warm up and it's causing blood to circulate a little bit more in those areas of the body. And you should feel a little bit more heavy and sodden, you know, like you're just like your tissue is drenched with your own blood. It's kind of like heavy. And you're landing on top of yourself. So like the weight of your head is landing on your throat, your chest is landing on your pelvis landing into your legs landing into your feet. So you have this kind of like downward motion. But it's also like for every downward motion, there's a recoiling spring in the opposite direction. All right? So like if you drop down, I feel myself dropping and sliding down the front of my body. And then there's a reaction, a recoil, a rebound up the back of my body. Okay? So it's like down and landing and bounding back up again. And that's how you sort of slowly pump and infuse your connective tissue with increasingly more energy. Okay? So let's do it again, breathing in through the tendons and ligaments. It's luxuriant. And then as you exhale, you land and you feel the downward motion at the front and the natural spring in the back. Now we'll talk about that in a moment. Very good. Breathing in deep. On the exhale, you let the front slide down, kind of like a mudslide. And in the back, you feel more of a natural springiness. And then you inhale, fill up. Now it's the back that slides down a little bit more and the front that raises up. Good. One more time, breathing in. Excellent. Excellent. Good. So there's a lot to be said for the relationship between mindfulness and savoring. So what the Panther excels at is really enjoying whatever kind of sensory experience is happening in the moment. And it throws itself into it completely. And it can be a little bit excessive. That's what Panther is like. But even and you don't have to go to excess. Even just savoring a little bit has a lot of great benefits. And first among them is it benefits mindfulness and memory. So just being more aware from moment to moment. But also, when you're aware of what's going on in your environment through like your immediate senses, then all of those senses act as like little codes, like, you know, one digit in a phone number for a particular memory. And it makes that phone number stronger, easier to then call up the memory with. So savoring has a real, has a real cognitive benefit. Taking your time and enjoying things, it spreads out, it spills over into other areas. And into like other events. So if you like really enjoy one moment, there's actually like a little bit of a rippling out from that one moment that helps your memory for other moments. I'm making this simple. I could get technical, but I'm trying to keep this as accessible as possible. So savoring and memory are really closely connected. Okay, so there's that. And now let's talk a little bit about the connective tissue and the tendons and ligaments and how Panther moves. You know, the last several years, the last 2 decades really, there's been a lot of talk and work with anatomy trains. So this is Thomas Myers' book on connective tissue. Now we've always worked with tendons and ligaments in Black Panther, like 80s and 90s, but now you know, the fitness community is really catching on to the importance of connective tissue, and emphasizing, you know, the muscles a little bit less, and looking at these natural spring tissues, spring-like tissues that help us move and feel good. And on that note, feeling good, the connective tissues, they're the areas, they're the tissue that nerve endings most populate, they most connect with. So we tend to think of, like, when you're moving, you know, your nerves contract your muscles and you feel yourself moving. But actually the sensation of moving comes a lot from the tissue around the muscles. The skin, yes, and then the fascia, the connective tissue that, like wiring, like electrical wiring that wraps around the muscles. The nerves in those tissues is what gives us a sensation of moving. And so when your attention is traveling through your connective tissue, you're reaffirming, you're priming, you're warming up all of the nerve endings that have the frontline job of giving you information about your sensation and your experience of moving. And again, so savoring, really important. It just warms up that whole system. Now the connective tissue and the anatomy trains that Thomas Myers does a really great job of explaining and talking about. You have multiple layers of connective tissue. And he goes into it, and there's way too much detail to go into a quick presentation. But some things that are important is that there's kind of like a bow-like, spring-like design. And we're just going to focus on, one main one here. And it connects to Panther. So one of the things that we think about when we think about Panther, and kind of tiger, is we think of the yin skin in contrast to the yang skin. So we've talked about this before, but you have the yin skin. So this is the skin that is less hairy, it's a little bit thinner. You know, if you're just like standing straight and the sun is shining, it's in the shadows. It's all the little nooks and crannies. And you tend to have your veins and arteries a little bit more exposed on that yin skin. And you have the yang skin, so this is the more hairy, it's usually a little bit thicker, and it's a little bit more, more protective. And if the sun was shining, it would shine on your yang skin. And what we normally, a really great way of paying attention to your yin and yang skin while you're moving is to think up the yin, and then down the yang, down the back, and boom. So you think up and then down. So up the front, up the yin, down the back, yang. Okay? And if you just do that, with the melons, you have a really great visual kinesthetic tool there at your disposal. You can bring that into any movement discipline you do, and it will stand you very well. The reason why that up the yin and down the yang works is because of a couple of really important deep connective tissue chains. Connective tissue, so the way that Thomas Myers talks about it, he talks about trains of connective tissue. And the reason why he talks about it as trains is because there's no like one tissue that wraps all the way around. It's a functional line. So a little bit of connective tissue connects onto a piece of bone, and then that piece of bone has another piece of tissue going, going somewhere else. But functionally, those two tissues and that corner of bone functionally act as one thing. So it's like one piece of movement mechanism. So it's like a train. And he talks about, several of them, but we're just going to focus on really 2 or so. And one of them is the connective chain. One of them is a very deep chain at the back. And basically it starts from the tips of your toes below your feet, runs down the back of your legs, up your glutes, and then up your back, and essentially wraps around over to the top of the head. And of course you have them on both sides. And the other chain, there's a couple of them that are important, but there's the deep one, and it goes basically from the inside. It kind of does like a little spiral around as it climbs up the body, and then it travels through the midsection of the body. It wraps around the organs and travels along the spine up till about your throat and jaw. And right, so and there's a couple of other structures overlaying that in the front. One other structure overlaying that in the front. And the way that your body works, so we're wired to stand, right? So we're bipedal and we're wired for standing. And what the back chain does is that it with the muscles, with the skeleton, with the design of your lower back, it wants to keep your body lifted up. That's what it naturally wants to do. And so when you sort of bend over, you're loading it for action. And what happens is that functionally, the way that the body is set up, it's kind of like the back train of connective tissue. It's kind of like the rope on a flagpole. And so you have the rope on a flagpole. It goes to the top of the flagpole, and it goes over the flagpole, goes down, and then you have the flag. And when you pull down on the flagpole, when you pull down on the rope at the back of the flagpole, the front rope with the flag rises up. And your body works the same way. That back connective train that makes you want to rise up hinges over the skull, functionally hinges over the skull, and pushes against the central column that goes up the midline of your body, and pulls up these more superficial frontal connective tissues. And so your body basically works like a flagpole. And when I pull down at my back, I lift up the front. Okay? And that's part of what makes the yin up the front and the yang down the back, work so well. I mean, it's not that it's a more modern scientific way of talking or explaining what's behind that imagery. So you're naturally thinking of that mechanism. Okay. Right. So what does that mean? So that's nice. What do you do with that, and how do you incorporate that into the bow? So let's just take a moment, and we're going to breathe in, fill up through the tendons and ligaments, and when you load up, you're going to feel, you're not just lengthening and straightening up, but what you're feeling is you're feeling that back flagpole being pulled down into the ground. So you're the flagpole, and the guy who's pulling on the back rope is like 2 or 3 feet underneath the ground and pulling the rope through the soles of your feet, through the heels. And so what you're feeling when you're inhaling is not that I'm doing this, but that I'm almost reclining. Like I'm raising up, but there's also a sense of being pulled down. And when you do that, you should get a sense more of your back opening up, again, the melons, and expanding and releasing. And that'll increase, that you'll feel more sensuous about it. It'll feel warmer, it'll feel bigger, it'll feel juicy, which is what the panther feels like. Okay? So let's just do it a little bit. Maybe I'll stand like this so you can see a little bit more to the side. And so you drop down and you just relax, just hang. And then as you inhale through the tendons and ligaments, feel like the rope at the back of the flagpole is being pulled down through your heels, and the flag is being raised at the front. And then exhale. And then just relax and release. So just relax and release. So you build it, you work it, you feel that visualization, and then as you exhale, relax and let everything settle down. Let the bones settle down on each other, so it's more python than panther, which is what Qinlong is all about. So you're letting your bones settle, but as you do that, it helps release the tendons and ligaments of any tension, and blood flows through them more readily. When blood flows through things, life flows through things, and you'll be able to feel and sense the sensuality of the motion. So breathe in deep. The flagpole rope is being pulled down at the back. It's raising the flag in the front. Up the yin skin, down the yang skin, and then exhale from the tendons and ligaments. One more time. Okay, now let's take this into the movement of the bow. So the moves themselves are really simple, but when you add this breathing through the tendons and ligaments, when you think of up the front yin, down the back yang, when you think of that flagpole of connective tissue, then the breathing becomes a lot more powerful. All right, so first you bend your knees. Again, as above, so below. Let your chest contract, let your knees bend. You contract the chest only as much as you can bend the knees. And if somebody put their hands on your shoulders and they press down, you'd be like a loaded spring. Again, the connective tissue. And that's, by the way, another great way of practicing a connective tissue exercise is to bounce yourself. And to bounce yourself in such a way that you're using the natural spring the way it's meant to be, so every pump should give you more energy, right? So you're not just shearing yourself, you're not just wearing out your tendons and ligaments, but you're pumping more energy into them. Okay, so if somebody were to push down, they'd be dribbling you, and then from there, you look out at the world through from underneath the brow of the eyes, and you open the legs, the hands come in the inside, and you inhale, and you're drawing in energy through the tendons and ligaments of the body. That flagpole rope pulls down at the back, raises the rope at the front. You finish inhaling, your hands are at the top. Roll in the shoulders. Make sure that you don't have your shoulders by your ears. Roll them back. Turn the palms down, turn the feet in, and exhale. and just relax, rest. Good, and breathe in deep. And exhale. One more time, breathe in deep. Okay, good. Triangles. And flip the triangle. And stand. Okay, so that's a little bit of the mechanics of the bow. There's a little bit more I want to cover, as if that wasn't enough. So I'm putting a lot of material in these videos, and you know, take what you can now and use it as you will, please. And if there's you know, a little bit too much information for this first go around, then of course these videos are going to be saved, and you can come back later and get a second review in. There are a lot of little nuggets and treasures in this, and it'll probably take a while to get them all, but they really make a big difference. Okay, so you've got the up the yin, down the yang. You've got this pulley system of connective tissue, where basically pulling on the back rope downwards is like, you know, being on a flagpole. It's also a little bit like pulling on a bow, so it creates this potential energy in the front that allows you to, you know, to then contract on the front and, you know, take care of business, do things. And now, a second piece to the panther is focusing on the yin side of the joints. So tiger is barrel-chested. It's just like it's a tank, and it's square, and it faces the world, you know, this, you know, with its chest out. Panther is very different. It's very convex. It's like slinky. And what you do is that you focus on the yin side of the joints. So like, for example, the inside of the elbow joint. And what you try to do is on the exhale, you try to deepen, like, so if this is like the inside, I don't know. So if I've got my elbow joint here, as I'm exhaling and I'm pushing away, I try to deepen the cup of my elbow joint and elongate the cup as much as I can. So instead of, it's not just that I'm, you know, doing this, but it's more tensile all the way through. So I'm trying to keep the cup of my elbow as deep and as long as I can, as opposed to something like that. It's more about the tissue. It's not so much the action of the joint, but it's how I'm thinking about the tissue. I'm trying to suck the tissue in while lengthening the tissue long. And you try to do this with the palms, like with the cup of the palm of the hand. The wrist is a different story, but a little bit there at the wrist too. Definitely the inside of the elbow, the cups of the armpits, and the cavity of the torso. So I've been saying relax and just let your weight drop down. And that's a really great place to start for a lot of people. But with Panther, what you're also doing is you're doing a Martha Graham contraction, right? It's like, you feel like a really deep contraction, like your belly button is pressing in towards your spine, and your pubic bone is trying to slide up to your sternum. So it's like this really deep contraction, and you feel your collarbones almost get pressed against the vertebra of your back. And so you're trying to elongate you're trying to lengthen and deepen as much as you can the cup, the cauldron of your torso. Same thing with the grooves of the inguinal grooves of the groin. You try, as you're exhaling, you're almost almost like you're pulling back and away. You don't, because you're still pressing your feet into the ground, but that lift, that sort of like, well, with the melon, that rotation and pulling away, that deepening of the groove and elongation of them, you should feel it all the way down to the soles of your feet. And what I'm trying to say is, as you press into the ground with the soles of your feet, you'll augment that deepening of the grooves, of the inguinal grooves. Same thing with the backs of the knees. You try to deepen and lengthen the cups at the backs of the knees. And then with the soles of the feet, you try to lengthen and raise the arch of the foot. So you're doing all that. So on the inhale, you're breathing in, you're filling up. And then on the exhale, you're deepening and lengthening all of those cups. All of those cups on the insides of the joints, on the yin side of your body. Really simple. Okay, so it's a great awareness exercise. If you do qigong, yoga, dance, it's a great way of developing awareness and more mobility in your movement. Okay, so we're going to do the bow, up the yin, down the yang. Focus on the connective tissue rope at the back that raises the flag at the front. And besides breathing in and exhaling through your tendons and ligaments, also deepen the cups, the palm, inside of the elbow, armpits, the front of your spine, the inguinal groove, backs of the knees, soles of the feet. All right, so we're going to lengthen and deepen those cups as much as possible, especially on the exhale. All right. Let's put it all together. Ready? And. So you're pulling down the rope at the back, relaxing the shoulders, turn the feet in, and now we're going to start exhaling, deepen all of the cups. It's not a hard contraction, it's like a light mental focus as you scan your body. That's it. And breathe in deep. And exhale. Cup all of those yin sides of the joints. One more time. One last time, breathe in. Fill up, breathe in through the tendons and ligaments. Feel the rope at the back of the flagpole. And exhale. Deepen all the cups. And then stand. And flip. Deepen the cups. And stand, feel your body. Right. So for myself, I know, if I've done boa, I'm floaty and open in all directions. Now that I've done panther, I feel like more slinky. I'm more compact. I'm not tight, but I've been slenderized, right? And it's kind of like I've emphasized the awareness of the yin side of my joints, and it's like I can almost like slide past myself, like I can slink through my own body by doing that. All right? So that's the kind of sensation that panther will leave you with. All right. We'll get into motion here in a second with some more choreographed stuff. Let me just check, make sure everything's okay. And there we go. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Exercises, you're welcome. You're very welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hello, Maureen. Nice to have you here. And great. Okay, so, everything looks all right? Okay, so let's do some tendon and ligament exercises for panther. So Alpera is here, so you've seen this before. Kara is here, you've seen this before. So this should be a blast from the past. So let's do the tendon and ligament exercise for panther. So we're going to take the flagpole, we're going to take the yin and the yang, we're going to take the deepening of the cups, and we're going to put it into some qigong exercises. And so this one's called the tendon and ligament exercise. Place your feet together, open them 1, turn them in 2, open them out 3, turn them in 4, and then one more time, open them out 5. So this is sumo stance. Okay? And so you can have your feet open, you're straddling, and if that's too wide, just bring it in. There's no problem with that. So straddling like so. And we're going to do some actions with the arms here. And you're going to feel the rope pulley being pulled down at the back. And somebody's going to yard it on your back leg over here. And when they yard it, it's going to move your torso. Boing. It's going to pull towards your leg, and it's going to raise your arm a little bit. So you pull down on one side, it raises you up on the other. Okay? And now you're not going to do this. We're not doing this. What happens is that you have the shoulder, and when the rope gets pulled down, it doesn't just before it gets a chance to raise the arm, it rolls the shoulder. So there's this quality of a wave that's traveling from my back leg here, rolling the shoulder and curving the arm. It's like a lash, right? So you want to roll, you want to feel the connective tissue of the shoulder joint. I'm just going to move the camera down here a little bit. There we go. There we go. There we go. So that rope pulley gets pulled, and okay, it pulls on my shoulder. When my shoulder gets pulled, there's this counteraction in my arm. My arm goes up, but it's not this. It's boom, right? It's like a drop in the shoulder raises the arm, okay? And all right, so it starts off 1, 2. So you strike 1, right? So strike 1, and your arm lashes out, and you have this like the inside of your hand, the ridge side of your hand, it's like a little blade edge, and it's caressing. It's stroking along a surface. Okay? And you have 1 drop, so the back leg connects to the front arm, and then this leg draws the second arm. So I'm pulled in this direction, and then I'm pulled in that direction. Yeah, so let's try this again. And so drop, drop, and drop, 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 drop. So I'm pulled in this direction, and then I'm pulled in this direction, and that pulls me across. Okay? Once, Maria, a little while back, we were doing some motion. I think it was Boa, and she asked the question, where does this motion start? And there's 2 ways you could think about it. One way is that rope is being pulled down, and so you get pulled down towards it. Another way, which is a little bit easier and a little bit more panthery, is you just drop down. You drop down, and that rebounds you back. And I'll just go between both images depending on what it is that I'm trying to work on. For right now, it's really nice to visualize that flagpole rope being pulled, because it's a good skill to practice. Okay, so flagpole, pull down that way, flagpole, dropping towards the front, and that brings your arm forward. So let's just do that. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2. Okay? So 1, 2. So you have this kind of like snake-like quality. And so that's the first part is 1, 2. And then you're a cat that's pouncing on a lid of mayonnaise. Pounce. I feel like Michael Jackson in Thriller. Okay? And then you pull the mayonnaise, like you have your hands are on the tops on the lids of the mayonnaise, these big mayonnaise jars, and you're going to tip the jars over while holding on to the lids. Okay? So it's 1, 2, spring on top of the jars, and then tip the jars over while holding the lids. One more time. And 1, 2, spring. And 1, 2, spring. And draw. And 1, 2, spring. And draw. So that's the Black Panther tendon and ligament. And you're cupping the insides of the grooves, especially on the strike. When the strike finishes, you deepen the grooves. Deepen the grooves. Deepen the grooves. Relax. And you relax. All right, and it goes on to the other side, which we'll do in a second, but let's do this a few more times just to get used to it. And 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and good. All right, so now we've done it on one side, let's do it on the other, and then what you do is you flow between them back and forth. But let's do it on one side first. So same thing, just on the other side. So I'm pulled down in this direction. The flagpole rope pulls down on this side, and it pulls on my shoulder blade. And when it pulls on my shoulder blade, it flicks my hand up, right? So action, the action downward here has an equal and opposite reaction with the arm sending it up there, right? Boom, boom, boom. And as the shoulder rolls back, it causes the arm to flick forward. Again, so down, down and back, front and forward. And so boom, 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 boom. Okay, good. Now with both, so drop, and then pulling in this direction, flick. All right? And drop, flick. And drop, flick. And drop, flick. And drop, flick. Good. Drop, flick. Drop, flick. Good. And then with the spring, with the cat-like spring, and if your legs are tired, then just come up a little bit. You don't have to be so deep. I'm insane, so this is what I do. So 1, 2, and spring. Claw down. And 1, 2, spring. Claw down. 1, 2, spring. Claw down. And 1, 2, spring. Claw down. 1, 2, spring. Claw down. Okay, now we're going to go from side to side. So this is the actual exercise in all of its glorious radiance. And 1, 2, claw down. Skim over the surface. And 1, 2, claw down. Skim over the surface. 1, 2, claw down. Skim over the surface. 1, 2, claw down, skim over the surface. As I'm doing this, I'm mentally directing my attention to the insides of the joints, deepening and cupping, elongating all of those cups of the joints. All right, and so coming around, 1, 2, 3, claw and down. Come around, 1, 2, claw and down. I'm going a little bit quick with the flick. Let me slow it down for you. And do what's comfortable, of course. 1, 2, claw, down. Come around. 1, 2, claw, and down. Shift your weight. 1, 2. Sorry, you go too slow, you lose it. So come around and 1, 2, 3, claw down. Come around. And 1, 2, 3, claw down. Come around. 1, 2, 3, claw down. Come around. 1, 2, 3, claw down. All right, so that's the Black Panther. And the way you come out of that traditionally is you hop the feet together and bring your hands down by your side. Try not to let the camera cut your head off. Okay, so that's how you do the Black Panther tendon and ligament exercise. There's one. All right, and there's 3 of them in total. Let me just check to see the comments. See if there's anything I should be aware of. Nope. Okay. All right. All right. So let's do another tendon and ligament exercise. This one is a little bit simpler in terms of motion. So why I didn't do it first, I forgot. So let's start. Let's go to the simpler thing. So you start off with yourself in horse stance. Open, close, open, parallel. And then let yourself drop. Again, that kind of feeling of your pelvis is just sliding down. And what we're going to do is, I'll get a bit closer so you can see. Your legs stay like that, and most of the action's in the arms. You come up, and this is like a mantis wing, or like a wing strike. So it's as if you're just holding your hand up in front of you, or parallel, and there's a weight attached to your fingertips, and the weight just pulls you down, pulls the hand, fingers down. And so you come up, crane wing, that was the word I was looking for, comes up, and then you roll and you go forward. So you're facing with the edge side of the hand out. So let's just do that again. So up, forward, that much again, up, forward, good, one more time, up, forward. Now let's see, 1, 2, right. So you press forward, and then you come down, and you pick up the laundry. So these are chicken head blocks, we call them. So you have crane wings, so the hands are to the side. And then you have blade hands out in front. Fan the fingers a little bit. Reach down, pick up the laundry, bring your hands up. Now they're going to go to the side, and they spring out. And then they come down, and they come up. The fingers are fanned, and then they press down. And up. Yep, I did the more complicated stuff first, then I did the simpler stuff. Why? Because I'm backwards. Okay, and up, and spring. And drop, and up, and drop. And up, and out, and down. Pick up the laundry, and drop. Good. And you're doing this I'm focusing on my tendons and ligaments. I'm letting the weight of my shoulders drop down. I'm letting the weight of my elbows drop down, even as my hands rise. Good. Coming up. Keep letting the shoulders drop. Keep letting the elbows drop. So what happens as you do this? So when people first start off, they have this sort of sense of comes up, it goes out, it comes back in, it goes out, and you bring it back in and you press down. But what's happening is that your shoulders keep drawing these small little circles. And as you draw, so as my hands are coming up, my shoulders are drawing a circle down. Okay? And I'm not just bending my elbow, but my elbows are following my shoulder. So as my elbows are doing this, my shoulder is moving my elbow to draw a little arc, a letter C. So my shoulder draws a letter C, my elbow draws a letter C as it bends. Okay? As it flexes and extends. So it may look like it's just simple, extension, flexion, but it's actually arcs. It's actually arcs that are contracting and extending. And when you do that, there's this quality of pumping more energy into the joints, into the tendons and ligaments. You get less tired. It feels like you're giving yourself a massage. So if you come across that, if there's one part of the motion that feels, oh, this part feels really good, chances are you're doing the arc in both the shoulder and the elbow, and you want that feel-good sensation in that part of the arc to follow all the way through the arc, okay? You're also doing stuff with the hands. It's probably a little bit too much, but basically you're rotating around one finger, and then you're rotating around the other finger, and that also cultivates the tendons and ligaments of the hands. But I don't want to overwhelm you. We'll cover it in our advanced class for Deadly Ninja 14. Okay, let's go on. And up, find that rotation in the shoulders. Whoops, Daisy. If you do it slowly. There we go. So up, press out, and then down. I keep drawing little circles with my shoulders, and I let my elbows follow those little circles, and that builds the link all along the length of my arms. Okay, cool. All right. Good. And then to come up, just jump up, bring your feet together, hands down by your side. Okay, so let me just change the camera angle here. And thank you, everybody. This has been pretty dense. Thank you for watching. Okay, so you have that feeling from doing the tendons and ligaments. And now you're just going to take that feeling into the bow and just see how the bow feels differently compared with before. And dropping down. Again, rolling in the shoulders. Savor the motion, the breath rising up your body, feeling the connective tissue. Breathe into the groin, into the back of the head, and then exhale, press down. One more time, and breathe in deep. And triangles. And flip the triangle. And stand. Let's look at the mudra for the panther. And the way that you do it is you take your index finger and middle finger, you curl them down to the roots of the fingers, and then you take your thumb and you touch the first joint of the ring finger. Right. So, and then the other finger just hangs out on an angle. It's kind of like a little ear of a rabbit. It's similar, kind of, to tiger, but not quite. And then you just hang out with both your hands like so. And if you do a meditation, you take the finger and you place it along the inguinal groove of the groin as you sit and breathe. Okay, so that's the mudra. The tongue. So while you're doing the bow, you're placing your tongue, you're pressing your tongue into the back of your throat as if you're trying to push your brainstem out the back. So that's how the panther uses its tongue. And I'm taking the back of my tongue and I'm pressing against the back of my head as if I'm trying to press my brainstem out the back. Okay? All right, so there's that. So the tongue, the eyes, and I've said this before, but with the eyes, where tiger looks straight at you, into you, panther is like looking at you, but kind of actually paying attention to the periphery, trying to case the joint. And where boa is like fuzzy, soft. Panther, out from underneath the brow, okay? And you can't quite tell if it's threatened or it's threatening you. That's what people are like in stress. Okay. So there's the eyes, the tongue, and the mudra. Okay. So panther. The panther represents the subconscious, and it is the gatekeeper to the realm of dreams. So a great way to promote your connection to your subconscious is when you wake up in the morning, write down your dreams, and just contemplate. What do the symbols mean? What do the images in your dream symbolize? And that will, doing that, and if you have questions about how you can do that, feel free to message me. And my wife and I, we both have a lot of experience with dream interpretation, and we can guide along that way. But getting those kinds of interpretations, reading books on dream interpretation, looking at your personal lexicon of symbolism will help strengthen your connection to your own subconscious. And so that's what the panther is really good for. And we'll talk a little bit more about its personality tomorrow. But another big important part about the panther, and one of the reasons why this challenge is happening at all, is that the panther represents an important aspect of ourselves that is connected to nature. So the panther represents instinct, and of course, and it represents a primary connection to the earth. And as we are sheltering in place, a lot of nature is recovering because we are less active, and a lot of people are recognizing that. This is a tremendous gift. So connecting to Panther can help us get in touch with that aspect of ourselves that wants humanity, society to be more aligned with nature, to be more in harmony with nature, to be more connected to nature. A great way of practicing Panther is to go out and do the Panther bows. Go into the woods. Feel nature all around you as you breathe it in and exhale it. Go to the ocean. Go to a lake. And notice and observe all the life that is at the boundaries in nature. Like there's always more life where nature intersects, right? So, at the shoreline between a lake and the hills, that's where you get a lot of life happening. The surface layer of water in the air, that's where the fish and the flies jump. There's always a lot more dense life at intersections in nature. And those boundaries, like the boundary between the conscious and the subconscious mind, those boundaries are where life happens, and that's where Panther lives. That's where Panther lives. So going into those areas and doing those bows builds that connection. Builds that connection to your moves and your breathing, and builds those connections within yourself. Reaffirms those connections within yourself. So we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. But for right now, let's finish off with some boa. And go. All right. And so feeling your body. Feel all of that work that you've done, all of the pumping of raw life through the tendons and ligaments that you've just done. And encompass it, absorb it all. And exhale. And good. Standing. Thank you very much, everybody. Same time, same channel tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye for now.